This is your shepherd, Tomahawk, and you're checking out the 3 Count Podcast.
Yeah, when the sun goes down, i.e., Nick Dog.
Well, by now, if you're listening to this intro, you already know what it is. It is now entering 201, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And, like every good shepherd, it's never about me, it's about who's entering the ring. So, who's entering the ring? You can find this man wrestling in Texas, Idaho, Maryland, DC, Virginia. If it's a state, he's probably been there, except for the Northeast, which, prayers up, we can, have our shepherd join us. He's the man that I like talking to. We have a great time every time that we get to either be in the ring together or we just sit in the back chatting it up. He is the shepherd, Tomahawk.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me.
Hell yeah, man. I was like, I remember we were talking back and forth, and then, brought up the idea of like coming through and just doing another episode of the podcast. And I was like, hell yeah, bro. Because I think the last time we did it, you were in the tag team, you were in the Dark Horses, and then now you guys have kind of, ventured off and things have gone differently with Grizzly O, and here you are making your way, making your journey across like all the different regions. So, it's funny because I saw that you had showed up at a Fight Club and that you were actually in Texas, and I was like, oh snap, I didn't know that Tomahawk was there.
Yeah. I mean, it came together pretty quick. I mean, the opportunity came up, and it was going to DreamCon in Houston. It was an awesome time. The crowd was insane. It was a hell of an experience. My mother lives right outside of Houston. She had never seen me wrestle before, so she got to come out. I mean, she had her opportunities, but she never wanted to see me wrestle. not always on my side as far as enjoying this industry I got myself into. But she came out and went to a show, and one of the shows that we had out there, and it was pretty good. It was wild. It was a good time.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good stuff about the event. I also heard about a lot of the wrestling drama. Y'all don't get to know about it, but yeah, I heard about sort of stuff that good and bad. But I heard a lot of good stuff about the wrestling crowd. Like the crowd was really into a lot of it. I heard about the and Dino had his like pick a move and take it from me a thon.
Oh yeah. Well, they set it up as like a mini seminar, right? So you basically we had a line that seemed endless. We were there for all 3 days of DreamCon. And basically it was a line that was like, get in the ring, learn how to run the ropes, learn how to take a bump, and then take a bump from a wrestler. And it was, quick, and, it was interactive, and you had all the streamers coming in, they're shooting their content. And then, we had show on Friday night, 2 shows on Saturday, and then our last show was on Sunday. And the turnout was absolutely insane. I mean, they really pulled together. John and Kazama, the guys that run it, and then Dino, obviously. I mean, they pulled together like just an awesome array of talent, and then partnering up with a Houston Fed to come out there and have some of their guys. So you had local guys meshed up with our guys, and it was a hell of a turnout.
Yeah, I know. And Dino had brought it up to me too, and he was talking about like DreamCon. He's like, he gave us the dates next year, like as far as like myself and Pure Ignorance gave us the dates and was like, all right, so you guys know already ahead of time, this is what it'll be. So we're like, yeah, we're gonna have to make this fly through too. Prince had a lot of fun too, so it was cool to see everybody had like such a great time, and everybody was able to mesh and have like just a nice kind of energy as they're merging. And like you said, I had heard about the Houston local wrestlers that had came through, and they also had a blast working with our guys too. So yeah, it was cool to see everything play out, man.
Yeah, I mean, the locker room was wild because you had guys. I mean, it wasn't even just Houston, because we had guys that were from like Charlotte. We had guys that were from Chicago. So it was like this weird melting pot of talent, and it turned out to just be like such like a like the stars aligned as far as the wrestling. And the crowd where we were positioned at the actual Comic-Con was like right in the main hall across from the main stage. So like if you came in through the doors, going to any event that the hundreds of events that they had, you had to walk by what we were doing. And I've always said to like any person that ever would listen to me, as far as like wrestling this, wrestling that, every single person I've ever met in my life has some wrestling story, whether it was their grandmother that they watched when they were kids, or like Hulk Hogan or Macho Man or like Rock Austin. Like everyone has a point in their life when they know about the business and seen it and have some kind of tie or like degree of how they know it. And naturally they came and just stayed and watched, and it was I think throughout the entire weekend we had 100,000 views on us over different social media sites, and
Yeah.
then we had 1,000+ in the crowd every single day. So it's pretty insane. It was pretty, and it was a very live crowd. You know what I mean? Because they enjoyed it, and we gave them a hell of a show just because of
No,
all the talent. So it's cool.
no, I'm glad. Like I said, seeing you guys do your thing and the way everything worked out, man, it was amazing to see, as well as like you obviously going to Idaho. That was kind of crazy because I didn't see that
Yeah.
one coming. So when I saw you also pop up there, I was like, my man is traveling.
Trying, man. I'm trying. I mean, I've been in the business long enough that like I never really got like a solidified blueprint on how to like get bookings, I guess, or like how to reach out. I always felt very like I don't want to like you know come off like a weird way or like unprofessional or like there's so many different ways to get and so many different paths in this business to go. So I never really like I guess in the crappiest terms, I didn't really put myself out there as much as I maybe should have. And yeah, I mean, it's just literally just reaching out. I was going out there for a vacation, and I was like, let's see what the scene is like. And there's literally only one company out there, one company, and it's very intimate, fed, but it was. The people were great. The talent was awesome. Also, Idaho Wrestle Club. They got a lot of clubs, but it was a just a very live crowd for it was right outside of Boise, in Nampa, and they've been running shows there for 10+ years, and they've been keeping it alive. And their whole ideology and their like philosophy is that they want to make Idaho like a hub. You know what I mean? Like for
Yeah,
out there, because there's not a lot. I mean, you got Salt Lake City, Washington State, so there's not a lot of like there's a lot of miles in between where you could go, and they're very much like we got to keep this live. We got to do what we can to keep this float, because if this goes under, there's no wrestling in the state. So it was
yeah,
cool to see that camaraderie over there, and they got a lot of guys that train hard and bust their ass, and it was cool. It was cool to go over there and just see a completely different, um, scene. No, there was no like politics, nothing like that. Everyone was very much in the common goal. Everyone was very nice and friendly, and had a pretty good match, and it was fun. Yeah, man, it was awesome.
yeah. And it's like, so like I said, man, like I see you traveling, like Texas, Idaho. We had our triple threat in Pennsylvania. So this year, no, I've seen you just kind of hit like
Trying, man. I'm
you
trying.
you
I'm out,
did
and I hit you up. I mean, I'm not trying to stop, man. I'm trying to keep the streak going. The word of the Shepherd tour is trying to continue. I'm trying to keep it going, keep it moving. So yeah, hopefully I can get up in your neck of the woods soon enough.
Yeah, and it's cool because like that's something that like I've had like an issue with myself like doing, right? Is like I have gone through and I've developed like this awesome like network, right, of like
Absolutely.
people that I could talk to just about anything and anywhere,
Right.
and like not utilizing that network to help me get to that next spot, because I feel
Exactly.
like, and I kind of know where you're coming from. You kind of feel like I don't want to use these people because then I don't want it to feel like I'm just coming off trying to accomplish
Right. Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You're kind
Exactly.
of, yeah, but the weird thing about it, and it was weird because wrestling is one of those places where like if you're willing to like go and help somebody, like they're
Yeah.
willing to help you as well.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And it's so bizarre that we're all like, nah, I'm gonna do it myself.
Right. No, I know. I mean, it's I guess it's part of the self-made idea of like what a wrestler is, right? Like it's
Yeah,
you want to be able to like see how far you can go on your own, but everyone needs a network. Everyone needs someone to pull them up to the next step, and especially for I mean, at least for me, for like doing as long as I've been doing it, like a lot of, I mean, shit, you moved. Like, there's guys that I've known, and then they go elsewhere, but they're still doing it there, and it's like, it could be more. It's like that web, and just trying to connect the dots and just get, people in the better spots, and on top of that, it's like everyone wants to work new talent. You know what I mean? I want to see, like, I did a tour in Tennessee, and their way of wrestling is very different from out here. They're walking and talking, and they're listening to the crowd. So it's a very different structure, and it was a culture shock to me. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, I want to see more of this. I want to feel more of this. So
yeah,
it's kind of like it's that's the best thing about this, like our art. You know what I mean? It's like you can interpret it and do it in so many different ways and different paths that it just makes it the best on the planet. I think, at least.
yeah. No, and see, it's funny because like I recently had a match where, and actually it was I think it might have been the week after we had worked our triple threat
Hmm.
with Andino. I had worked a match in Rhode Island, and my friend, shout outs to Brian Bayside, who runs Focus Pro Wrestling. Sorry, I know you don't want to know, but everybody gonna know now. It's best worst kept secret anyway. But anyway, so um, we were working a match, and we started off by saying, "Hey, man, like we want to start this off doing like the Hulk Hogan,
Yeah,
Rock
yeah.
from WrestleMania stare off,
Right.
and
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
just talk trash." And then the way we finished it, he was like, "How do you want to finish this?" I was like, "Yo, let's do the Big Show William Regal finish."
Oh
And
man.
he's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you just want me to kind of like lay down and just like put my arm on?" He was like, "No, dude, full flop, like over the top of me. Let's just go big." And
Right.
so we were laughing about it, and we didn't call nothing else in the match. That was
Right.
it. Those the
Yeah.
beginning, and we're like, we're just gonna fill it out from the rest.
Yeah, man.
And like, man, we didn't have to work we worked really well a lot, and we didn't do a lot of move sets, but it was a lot of like listening to the crowd and just like talking mad shit. As I'm hearing the crowd like start clapping, I'm like, "Yo, fire up real quick, let me cut you off." And he's like, "All right, bet." So we start firing up, boom, kick him in the leg, like, and it just starts coming, then talk trash to the crowd.
Right.
And you know, I love like being a part of that kind of atmosphere. It's something weird about like when you first get in, like I understand the idea of like, hey, we're gonna call everything so that way we're not getting lost. But what you end up missing out is like you miss out on the parts where, well, why is the crowd not reacting to my move the way
Right.
I think they should be? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, you really haven't given them a reason to like react
Yeah.
to you. You just like, hey, check out all the cool flip stuffs I can do, or look at
Right.
all the
Exactly.
cool, I'm gonna hit you with this vertical suplex into a German suplex into a Fishman Buster, and then we're
Right.
going for a pin, and the crowd's like, I don't even know what just happened.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's it took me a while, I think, in my career to like figure that one out. I mean, the way I had a very unorthodox training of, how I even got into this business. And it was, the majority of my learning experience was being in front of a crowd. So seeing guys like, do certain like move sets and stuff like that, and like all this over the top things, and I'd be like, wow, oh, I can't do flips. I'm not gonna be able to do that shit. There ain't no way. Like ground and pound brawler is gonna be more so what I do for sure. Upside down and tomahawk don't really mesh too well, but um, being able to like kind of slow it down, like slowing it down is like the most cliche thing that every wrestler goes off about. Like, oh, if you think you're going slower, go slower. You know what I mean? But it literally does translate to just basically being able to reset your brain to be like, where's the crowd at right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that's like the biggest thing that like, I mean, obviously we try to emulate the greats, and like a lot of these, the guys that I know that I watched when I was a kid, the majority of their stuff wasn't called. It was like they're gonna go out there, listen to the crowd. You mentioned Hogan and Rock. I mean, that was literally changed on the fly, like because of the crowd reaction, right?
Yep.
So seeing that kind of stuff, it took me a little bit of time, and with in a tag team, having like two minds meshing well. I mean, it got to a point when we really got that down, and we could really just be like, all right, well, we got this, and this. We know where we can put it in, but let's just go out there and kind of like feel it out and see what we can do with it and what we need to switch and lighten up with and stuff like that. So, with the Shepard gimmick, I can really, really slow it down, which has been the most satisfying, I mean, thing like that I've done in a long, like, in a while, but just because I'm just, having them in there and just being able to move them where I need to move them. It's been a lot of fun, and doing it as a good or bad, it works either way. So it's been very fulfilling. But yeah, like you said, that's that's what makes it freeing. I mean, the art is just freeing. You know what I mean? It's like you being able to just go out there and kind of just do whatever and just go and entertain naturally is. I mean, that's one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, and whether you're like the good guy, you're a face or you're a heel, doesn't really like it. To me, it it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't matter as long as you're connecting with the crowd. I had someone ask me, so a bunch of because I started at a new gym a couple months ago,
Mhm.
and a bunch of my coworkers were asking me about like, hey man, like, do you really care about the wins and losses? Like, do you know how do you perform when you find out that you're not gonna win or you're not gonna lose? And I'm like, well, I don't even care anymore. At this point, I'm like, yo, just can the crowd cheer me? Can the crowd boo me? I don't really care. I'm just here to have fun and just like put people on a journey at this point in my
Right.
life. And I'm like, and I get it too, right? Like and I'll be fair, like maybe if I was like a decade younger, I would probably care more about wins and losses. But at this point, man, I'm just having so much fun
Yeah.
and like trying to keep matches in my notebook of like who I've worked and when I
Right.
worked and stuff, because I think that's important to me too. But one of my favorite things was like I started using, so for those who watch me now, I started using Penta's arm breaker because I was like, yo, that's kind of a cool thing to throw around. And I was like, and Red Dog, with these healer face, like that's something I
Right.
can use. And the first time I tried it as a face was actually on Sicken at
Mhm.
HWF. The first time I tried it as a face. And I was like, yo, the crowd's about to boo me for this. And I was thinking about it. Actively, I was thinking about it as I held him and I was like barking at the crowd. Crowd started barking back. I was like, yeah, we about to get him. And I did it and the crowd popped. And I was like,
There you
oh wow, we've gone so far.
go.
Like this is not what I thought was gonna happen.
Right.
Because a week previous, I was working as a heel in Rhode Island, and I did the same thing. I did the same move, and the crowd booed me. So I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." Like, so intent matters, right? Like,
Right.
I'm intentionally
Yeah.
going to do this and take his out, but like the crowd really, depending on how you've built up with the crowd, they
Oh
really
yeah,
will
for
push you
sure.
one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it can be like, I've always said like depending, the moves, yeah, they matter in the sense of like just how they connect you to the crowd. Like, if you build up a rapport that you're this, badass good guy that's been through blah blah blah, and you got, say you're with Sicken and he's, running, even if he's not running heel, but they've built up so much equity with you as this like guy that's gone through a lot of shit or whatever the hell it is, you know what I mean? Yeah, when you do that move, it's gonna be like, yeah, he got his, he finally, you know what I mean? So, and on the flip side of that, it's like, yeah, if you do it to one of their guys that they love, yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
get the shit boot out of you. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, it's all about the equity you build with it. But yeah, that's that's funny.
But it's funny because like it's something that someone has been talking to me about. Like they've been ground and pounding it in my head for years. Right, is about like the aggression side of things. Right,
Right.
and it's like as the first couple years, I'm still trying to figure this whole thing out, and then like getting into my fourth and fifth year, I'm still like learning how to like turn up the aggression side of things, and I'm gonna put him out there. Chaz smacks me every single time he wants to turn the intensity up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it'll be full on bitch smack. I'm not even kidding. We in the corner and you'll see it. He just leans back and just whips it, and it's bam. I'm like,
Right.
I'm going to fucking kill you. But our match, so we had that triple threat match, and then right after that, I had worked two other matches, and I started realizing like, oh, I can kind of let go of this aggression side a little bit and like really build into it. So, fun fact, because you weren't at the last SWA show, but
Mhm.
finally, Red Dog snapped out.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought about like the storytelling of how you were telling me like, oh, we want to bring the aggression out of Red Dog. We want to, have him cut his, let loose and start using them teeth and stuff. And like, so like it started like transitioning over now. And so
No, there you go. All right.
yeah, so and
Yeah,
I
the
legit
lessons of
blame
the shepherd always carry. There you
yeah,
go.
I blame the shepherd. I'm like, "Yeah, you
That's
looking
right.
for the reason why this happened is
Yeah.
because you got interfered with a match with me and Tomahawk, and, just all your fault." And, like, now, like, it's like so he's kind of cutting things a little bit more heelish, but it's justified heelish, and
It's
so
aggression. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but I
aggression.
love it, though, and it
Yeah.
makes me, like I'm like, "Oh, I can, like, fire off and be okay with
Yeah.
this," and the crowd gets behind it too, so I'm like, "Alright, we winning with this now."
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, that's like, I did the same. I mean, it's kind of weird that this character is kind of morphing into that. It's kind of morphing into this thing where I just want to pull like I mean, it's the whole basis of it is always like pulling the potential out of, whoever the lesson person or the target is or whatever. But, with Jesse, I mean, Jesse Orion, I did that, EWA we did a year long feud. And it was, he won the Sweet 16 title or the Sweet 16 trophy. He pinned me, but with a roll up, I got pissed off because, that's not the way you should, it's a chicken way out of it. You know what I mean? A sneak attack, blah, blah. And, beat him up with it and I ran down. But then he beat me, the way I needed him to. So I kind of ran with him for a little bit on trying to teach him aggression because that trophy got him the big title match against Michael Anthony, who's like 6'8", 400 pounds or whatever, big guy.
Big guy.
So it was me kind of training him. And then, it came down to the fact that he didn't, end up using the aggression maybe a little bit farther than I wanted him to take it, maybe more than he wanted to take it by using like weapons and stuff. But, we had our last man standing match that really, I mean, a 40-minute last man standing match. We did some pretty wild stuff. And, I, was talking to him in the back about it, and it was like this, who also, was in Texas as well, came down to Houston. He had some amazing matches. We wrestled a triple threat as well with Pardon McFly. But, yeah, like his whole demeanor towards like the business as his character, has shifted because of the stuff that me and him did just because, like you said, it's like being able to like, it's just another tool you can use. You can pull out that aggression of now, and it kind of gives you a whole another like dimension to that character, right? Like it
Yeah.
gives a whole another like side of it that you can either tap into too far, or you can tap into, the right amount, depending on which way you want to go with the crowd, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, literally, it's kind of turned to that. I mean, the character is all about kind of building up in my version of it, right? But for the most part, it's guys I want to work, and it's guys that I want to just be able to literally do it in real life, though, with, you know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
me and you had dabbled a little bit in UWA. We didn't get to lie. We locked out, I think, once time.
We did.
I think we had like a tag match in SWA, but it's like we didn't get to really full hands on it. And I'm excited for what we do forward. But
Yeah.
it's it's just being able to kind of, like you said, people are worried to reach out, right? We're never going to reach out, especially when it comes to our own shit, our own characters. We don't want that. That's the fun.
Yep.
But there's always a way to throw in an extra little bit of a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of spice, a little bit of maybe this could work, maybe, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's kind of what the character is. Kind of, it blends real life for me a little bit, because that's where I find the most is just the collaboration of being like, hey dude, like, how about you try this? That'd be kind of cool. Or like, hey, like, this could be, use me, dude. Like, this could be good. You know what I mean? So it's been very fulfilling. I've had a very satisfying run with this character for the most part. It's been a good time.
Yeah, I had a dude, Bo Douglas, on our podcast, right? So now into the ring, and one thing that we had talked about, I had joked about how Red Dog has like the multiverse of Red Dog, where like all the different versions were, and he was like, "Yo, I like that." He's like, "Yo, keep that going, keep all the different character stuff happening, stuff." He's like, "The one thing you're gonna find out is you're gonna have Red Dog Prime." And that's gonna be the one
Mm-hmm.
that like
That's the one.
you
Yeah.
want to run with.
Yeah.
He can be goofy, but then he's serious. He's locked in. He's got
Yeah.
different kind of modes. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. So I think like the more I start playing in the world of Red Dog, the more I start to understand like, hey, this is how he is. And so getting to work with you and then getting to understand like, oh, like to be fair, because like one thing about it is like you can have like, okay, I'll be fair. You got to stay in the mindset of being locked in your character, but like sometimes like an aggression thing happens, right? And
Yeah.
like you if you lose control, you say fuck it,
Yeah.
something will happen. So it's
Right.
like staying in like having your emotions checked and controlled. And I say that in aspect of like one thing somebody asked me was like, what's one thing that Red Dog has that you wish you had? And I was like, the unwavering confidence that Red Dog has, because he's like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna run through this brick wall, bro, and
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get it done. And I
Right.
was like, I don't know where it comes from, but I was like, that's like, it's so much fun to have that kind of thing. But then like also when that confidence starts to shake, he starts to lose that he gets
Right.
that more aggression going in, and I think about that a lot. And now like I get to work I'm working this program where Kurt Blair, where he's kind of got involved with my matches. One of them was our match, and then
Mm-hmm.
we got involved in another one. And so finally, Red Dog was like, "Fuck it, it's time to take matters into my own hand." And I
Right.
love that aspect of like Red Dog now. Like, I no longer want to play by the rules if no
Yeah.
one else is going to play by the rules, and
Right.
it's fine. And so,
It's like paving your own way. Yeah. I mean, it's just adding layers. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
by the end of anyone's career, you just peeling back these onion layers and seeing how that character that you started with when you were training and just learning the bumps, learning the ropes, and then whatever that little baby seed was and how big it grows towards the end of it, and or even like throughout it shifts. You know what I mean? They look at guys like shit. Jericho's still inventing himself. And doing different. You know what I mean? What the hell? You know what I mean? It's the coolest thing when you just keep adding those layers, and it's when you usually get your best work, because it's keeping the creative juices flowing for the most part. Because if you get stagnant, nobody, like, you won't have fun.
right.
And if you don't have fun, they'll notice you not having fun, and then it'll be like, okay, well, what the hell's the point of this?
So
You're
much
just
faster.
fucking breaking your goddamn back for no reason. So
Yeah,
it's like,
you're just taking these
yeah,
unnecessary bumps for
right.
waking
Because
up acting old.
they'll know that if you're in, it's all about, if they know that you're into it. So I think that's awesome, man. I think that's dope that you're shifting the gear up with the Red Dog. That's fun.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you're talking about, right? It's like you have this you have to continue to evolve, in this game, and you keep playing with the ideas. I watched the very first promo I did. Oh my god, bro! Like, I watched the first
Dude, mine
promo.
was
I was
awful.
like, oh my god! I was like, bro, what is wrong with you?
I think the first one I did when with as a dark horse, I think I was smoking a cigarette with like a cutoff shirt. I thought it was so cool. God, it was like so cringy. And I think I found it not too long ago. We had like this. It wasn't like necessarily awful, but it was just like, God, man, would never. I was just like thinking like whatever. It's like I saw like some like old '90s villain. And I was like, oh, he's smoking a cigarette. That'll be cool. Like I don't know. It's just
Badass.
yeah, that'll be badass, man. That'll show him who means business. But yeah, no, it's hard. I try not to watch too much of my stuff in general anymore.
Nah,
Just because I don't know.
so I watched back my first promo, and then I watched back my first match, and I was like, as I'm like critiquing it, I'm starting to understand like, oh, this is where we wanted to talk about this. This is where we're talking about this, and then I started kind of understanding like the layers, and I started I was talking to my match as if I was like coaching it over, and I was like, there's some parts where I'm like, yo. You're there, start working your way up, like start talking to the crowd, like get the crowd
Right.
involved, like do this, do that. And then I watched like my most recent match, and I was like, "Oh, we just doing that shit, just not now.
Yeah, yeah.
We
It's like
just pulling
second
it
nature. I
out."
mean, it becomes second nature. It's
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's it's like
and
any
you
other
look,
sport. It's just the reps, the reps, the reps. Once you get
yeah, I
into
was gonna
the
say it
crowd,
has to be. You have to be forged through the fire. Like you
yeah,
have
no,
to
yeah,
go through
literally.
it.
Well, and it's even more crazy because like it's a performance art. You know what I mean? So you're literally like you get out there, especially when you're early starting out, you're what 5 to 8 if that, and it's like you're going in there and like you got to do all these things pretty much perfect, right? To like not feel like you fucking suck, but but you got to do it. Boom, one shot, and then you're like, oh, okay. Then you got to wait, a week or whatever the hell a day to do it. Just another 5 minutes. All that build up, all the travel, getting ready, prepping mentally, all that stuff, all the nerves, the shit you got to take beforehand, all the stuff you got to go over. Then you get out to the ring, and it's up to you if you right. So it's just getting outside the reps. I mean, that's like I said, I bring it back to like how I started off. It was literally like we had 2 sessions a week before I even know how to take a fucking proper bump. It was an awful way to start off, mind you. I'm no way, gratifying or like glorifying this at all. But I was in battle royals just getting the shit kicked out of me, but I got to be in front of a crowd, right? So before I even had the fundamentals of wrestling for the most part, I knew kind of how to talk and be at least comfortable in front of people when I'm wearing, spandex and getting the shit kicked out of me, right? So I had this I had that comfortability. I think that's not a lot of people talk about that in the beginning, especially with these trainees nowadays. They don't talk about like it would take you a little bit of time to just be comfortable in front of a crowd. I mean, like at the very basis of it, you could be doing a manager, you could be a fucking ref. I mean, it's intimidating to be in front of people expecting to be entertained, right?
Yeah,
That's not like a normal thing for someone to just be like, I know how to do this, right? Like it's some people it takes a little bit of time. I mean, for people like us who are like attention whores, I mean, it's a little easier, but like, you know what I mean? But it's tough. It's a tough thing to like psychologically get through and then remember all the stuff that you learned and have to do it on the fly. So like, yeah, our way of being brought up, at least in the beginning, before we learned this stuff after, it was very backwards.
yeah,
Like here's pushed in front of a crowd. Here's your gimmick, and we're like, I don't know what to do. And
right.
then it was like, okay, now you learn. Here you go.
Yeah,
Now you got to do it. So it was. But the one thing that I took from that, because you got to find the silver lining in all this shit, right? Is literally at least got to know how to just feed off a crowd and work them and stuff like that. So it was kind of helpful in that regard, but wouldn't
well,
recommend that way to anyone going into this.
well, I got lucky. So I started training in like January of 2020, and then like the pandemic happened, so it shut
Right.
everything down. So
Yeah.
I was just doing after like when May came around, it was like the week after Memorial Day. Started getting back into training again and just working and just training, and then it became 2 a days. So it'd be like a Saturday, Sunday. Like
Right.
I'd be at the Rice City compound, like working, and then work practice matches. And then I
Mhm.
had my first match with Big Trouble Ben Bishop, which
Oh,
it was
nice.
just a quick
Yeah.
glorified squash match. That's all it was. But after that, man, like then it was just like, all right, let's figure these things out, and
Right.
and like you said, man, like you go out there and you're like, I have to figure out how to get in front of this crowd and like talk to everybody and be okay with it. And one of the things I learned was that like I just wasn't comfortable in front of a camera, so like
Yeah.
I had to like learn. So Chaz and I started up a podcast, and then like here
Right.
we are,
There you
like
go.
cutting promos
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that
Exactly.
in front of it.
Every day. Right.
Yeah, and then like it's funny because you mentioned this, right? So one of the things that one of my bosses had just told me was that I am too comfortable talking to strangers. Like he's like, "You're too comfortable." I was
Yeah,
like, "Bro, I sit in a car for 7 hours, I drive to random places, I have
yeah,
to be in front of people, and
yeah,
then I have to find a way to engage those people." So, yeah, I'm
yeah,
very comfortable talking to strangers for no reason whatsoever. It's like it's all because of pro wrestling, and
yeah,
I love it was like it was a two-way street. I'll share it with you guys. I'll share this with you too. I think we talked about this, but if it wasn't for 2017, my daughter calling me squishy, like I wouldn't be doing all this. Like I was big. I got into the gym. I started working out. I randomly met a dude who was into pro wrestling. We started talking. Then I found my way into pro wrestling, and then I got into the gym. I started really focusing on like building up strength and endurance because I was like, I need to get better at all this stuff,
yeah,
and just thing after thing after thing. And then when I'm in front of a crowd, now it's like you got to engage this crowd. You got to talk to these people. You got to tell them
yeah.
what's going on, and you got to tell this story of how everything's, and you got to draw them in. I'm like,
Mhm.
I was just grateful that like that one moment happened in 2017 because it changed
Yeah.
my whole life,
Oh
bro.
yeah. 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 It's crazy how kids will do that to you. My firstborn, yeah, literally, it was kind of the same deal. I mean, I had Grizz. He started training at House of Pain. He went out a year before me. Me and him weren't even talking. And, this is a guy I've known for since sixth grade. And we had a falling out after high school. He had, we gone through the motions a couple years down the road. He started wrestling. He literally messaged me randomly on Facebook and was like, "Hey man, like fuck the beef. Like you need to come out here. We talked about doing this as kids. Come any tag team part. Let's do this. Like let's do this. Just do the dream." And I had just had my firstborn, and literally was like, look, I very vividly remember looking at him and being like, this could be a moment where I can show him forever that no dream is unattainable, even if I fail or whatever. At least I went for it, and that maybe that's a teachable moment in itself. So yeah, just kind of was on a whim off of that, just to kind of show that my kids can shoot for everything they want. Nothing should be crazy. Like anything they want is in this world can be for them. So as long as they want it enough, and here I am going on 12 years later, still
Yeah.
doing it.
I'm over here. I'm over here. Like I still look at him like, and some people ask me all the time. They're like, "What do you like? What's your hobbies?" I was like, "Well, I don't really." I was like, "It's weird to me because like this is no longer like a hobby, right?" Like
Yeah.
I have been so next year in January will be my 6th year, right? I have been in doing pro wrestling longer than I had been in the military.
Mm,
Like I was in the military for almost 6 years. I'll be
yeah.
fair, like 5 years and like 11 months, and I think I had like 60 days of terminal leave. So we'll call it
Mhm.
5 and
Yeah,
10,
yeah, there you go.
right?
5'10".
But like I'm right there with pro wrestling. Like
Right.
in a couple months, like it'll be, in October, will be that 10 month, and then
Hmm.
I will officially have been in pro wrestling longer than I was in the military. And it like it's crazy to think about. And have I had like as many matches as everybody else? No, but I'm okay with that. Like I enjoy just doing what I'm doing and just
Oh,
having
yeah.
fun with everything that's going on. But I just think about it in the concept of time. I'm like, whoa, dude, like this is a lot that I've gone through and a lot of stuff that I've done. And just the way that, you know, pro wrestling is able to open you up to new opportunities without like being too afraid of it.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's cool.
I mean, at the very least, you're meeting new people. I mean, I've got some of my friends that I call my closest friends now that I've met through wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I've been to places I probably never thought I would have been because of pro wrestling. That's for sure. I met different demographics of the country. You know what I mean? Exposed myself to certain things like that. So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, at the very least, and I've been able to pay some bills like that. I mean, anything that's that'll pay a bill to me is worth doing. Like, is if it pays something, if it helps out the family some way, if you're chronic, if you're contributing in that way, it's not a fucking hobby. That's if it's not, if it's paying a bill, it ain't a hobby. It's a job, right?
Piece of time.
But this job has taken it. It has a lot of up and downs. I mean, granted, there's a lot, long drives and being away from the family. It's tough stuff. I mean, that's not like a cakewalk, but it has opened a lot of things. Like you said, a lot of open doors and create a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't have gone through if you weren't in the business, right? So, nah, it's beautiful. It can be the best and the worst. That's why it's the best, right? Like it's got all of it in
Well,
it.
like Brutal Bob Evans always refers to it as like wrestling has to have its own place. Like it consume your whole life. It's got to have
Right.
its own compartment, and you got to be
Yeah.
able to open that compartment, play with it when
Mhm.
you want to, and then put it away. Because as soon
Right.
as it becomes like engulfing of your whole life, like then you're like, oh man, I gotta do this, I gotta drive, I gotta do
Mhm.
this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, and it can wear you down.
Yeah.
It can beat you down, and this business will beat you down. So
Oh, yeah.
for those of you who are watching this for the first time and trying to figure out what is going on, hey, like this business will it will just take from you, and it will not
Yes.
get
Yeah.
it will give you a lot of stuff, but it will take a lot of stuff from you too. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I have definitely met a bunch of people in this business that I have trusted more than I did in the military. And it's weird to say that, but like you're literally putting your life in somebody else's hands and you're hoping that they don't hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah, I mean, it's, like you said, it's, yeah, it'll take a lot, but the biggest thing is, wrestling will never owe you anything.
Mm,
It'll never owe you anything. So everything that you do has to be constant of what you want to, like, if you actually want to do this, you got to really love it to do it, because it'll never owe you nothing. It'll never, you know, you can never ask it for anything more than what you put into it. And that's in itself kind of like a, more of a metaphor for something bigger is hard work, right? Like, I mean, that puts you in a place that you have to kind of get what you want out of it and be okay with the result. If it's even not the result maybe you want.
right.
But yeah, no, I love it. I love it. I mean, it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
it's
just getting more
definitely,
exciting. And that's awesome too. I feel like for both of us, I mean, it's just getting more exciting and better opportunities are coming and stuff like that. So it's been awesome, man.
yeah, I can't wait. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe that I know. And granted, things change, right? You gotta kind
Yeah.
of stay fluid in this business. This is one thing I tell people. Like, I'm very grateful I was in the military because it taught me like the whole hurry up and wait process. Like,
Hmm.
hurry up and get to the finish line, but
Yeah.
like wait. You
Right.
gotta wait. And
Hmm.
so, like, that's what pro wrestling does to you too. It makes you like hurry up, get to somewhere that you gotta be, but then you gotta wait. And so, like, I'm
Yeah.
always like,
No, for sure.
well, I've been ready
Yeah.
for this for a while. Like, I've been doing it for a long time. And I kind of like there's been like so much that I've been able to include in my character that is just me because of like things that I've gone through. And I feel like if especially with good characters, like you should be able to pour so much of yourself into something that like when you're ready to divorce it, like you're never really fully divorcing it. You're just like, yeah, it's still like all of me. Like I talk about this like Red Dog character and I'm like, bro, when I'm ready to divorce Red Dog, like it'll be Cliff, but you will see like there was never much of a difference between Red Dog and Cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that's how it
So
usually goes. I mean,
yeah, I mean, okay, so from you, like the one thing I've always like kind of wondered because like I've known you as a tag team wrestler
mhm.
for a long time, but I've also known you as a singles competitor for maybe just a bit shy than that. So making that transition from being like in a tag team to all of a sudden just like running solo, like what were your biggest challenges that you're running into, and then like how did you overcome those challenges?
I mean, so, geez, I mean, even thinking about it now, I mean, it's been about 5 years since me and Grizz were a part of the Dark Horses. So it was right around like maybe 6 months before COVID. I mean, it was, I had, we had the places that we were wrestling at the time. I think it was, EWA, ATCW, EPPW. We were doing NWO for a little bit. I mean, we had just I feel like we multiple time champions in all of those companies. And it got to a point when it was like, are we going to just keep running this tag team division? And like, I don't know, I don't want to say it felt like gatekeeping, but it felt like we were there and we put in the work and we were recognized as like the best and blah blah blah. And it was kind of a point to like, is this what we want to do like for the next 5 years or the next 10 years? We want to just only do tag team wrestling. And we kind of we both had a very deep talk. I mean, well, deep talk after like a 12-pack, but it was like we kind of laid it out like, hey man, like what do we want out of this, right? And we have our love of wrestling together as a group, as a partnership, but we also have love for wrestling as separate. Like if what we like, big Shawn Michaels guy, love Shawn Michaels. I mean, this dude, you go into his room, you'll see all sorts of shit, and you know what I mean. Like I was big on The Rock and like Jericho and Eddie Guerrero and stuff like this. So it was like let's see what else we can do and not necessarily break up or like do anything like drastic, but like let's just separate for a little bit. Like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, like let's just kind of do our own thing, but together, but doing our own thing. And we dabbled with that for a while. Right around before COVID.
What's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and thank you for checking out this episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Whether that was Chaz friends, Red Dog friends, Damien friends, The Film Slouch, Now Into the Ring, Now Entering 201, or Now Returning to the Ring, all those good episodes. You should really be liking, commenting, and even sharing this with your friends, family, whoever it may be. But what you all should be doing is checking us out on all of our social media platforms at 3 Count Pod, whether that's on IG, Twitch, you check us out on Threads, whatever it may be. And if you go check us out on X, it is 3count_pod. Check us out on YouTube, as well as Facebook, on Rumble, on Apple Music, on Spotify, all those fun things. Tell your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all that stuff, and then, last but not least, buy our merch on foryourwear.com or prowrestlingtees.com. Kawaii!